As poorly as they have shot it from three, it is who they are. They're going to get a ton of threes up.
It's a Boston three-party here in the first half.
The team is so talented, just a matter of time.
It's a completely different Celtic team here.
And this is a team that has kept its foot on the gas pedal.
It was an important game. It was important for us to respond. We got to beat us 4 times, not twice. The first half was fun. The second half is even more fun. So looking forward to game 4.
SportsCenter with Scooby and Amina. We now bring in 13-year NBA vet Quentin Richardson and Anscape's David Dennis Jr. My bad, bro. It's like we haven't done this a million times already anyway. All right, Double D, I'm going to start with you, man. The Celtics, it was a Boston three-party the first 2 games of the series, and then things started to heat up a little bit for Game 3. They end up getting the win, leading by as much as 31 points at one point and avoid going down 3-0. What was the difference for the Celtics?
Stop me if you heard this one before. It was about the three-pointers with the Boston Celtics. They're not going to go into a game like this changing their formula too much. They're just going to decide, hey, we're going to make the threes this time instead of missing them like we did in the first 2 games. So they went out there and shot 50% from 3, which it means that they made a lot of the open shots that they did not have in the first 2 games. But on the other side, what's not getting enough attention is their defense against the Knicks three-pointers out there. The Knicks were only 2 for 17 from 3 in the first 3 quarters. That is 12%. And a lot of that is the way that the Celtics were hounding them at the line. They were making their rotations. They were getting to guys they did not have open threes. The Knicks were confounded throughout that game, and it looked a lot like the first 3 quarters of games 1 and 2. You don't have to worry about fourth quarter execution when you're up 30 going into that quarter.
Yeah, I agree with you, Double D. I mean, this was what I thought it would be. If we paid attention, obviously they lost the first 2 games, but the Celtics had dominated this series and dominated this team the entire season long. All they had to do was change up the like Joe Mazzulla said, the live ball turnovers that turn right into instant run out points and things like that. And like David said, they made more of the threes in the fourth quarter and in the second half. But I like the fact that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they made a conscious effort to drive the ball to the hole, to get in the paint. You see those pull-ups there to get all the way to the basket. Pritchard came off the bench and was lights out. And that's what you get with this type of team. They have so many different players that obviously Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are usually going to be the focal points. But they always have a Pritchard, a Drew Holiday, a Derek White, one of those guys, a Porzingis, that jump up and have a big night. And that's what happened yesterday.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch, and I know everyone's going to be looking forward towards Game 4 on Monday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. As for the other game, the Warriors are down 2-1 in this series. Listen, America, both of these guys were saying Steve Kerr should play Jonathan Kuminga more in the last series. They've done that this series, and it's paid off, but they're still losing. So, David, what do you think that they need to do in order for them to beat the Timberwolves without Steph?
They really have to play pretty much exactly like they played in Game 3, but they have to do that for the entire 48 minutes. You got to think about the Warriors' game plan. They grind the Minnesota Timberwolves to a halt. They have Jimmy Butler go off and get to the free throw line, and then you have Kuminga put out probably the best playoff game that he's had in his entire career. They held that Minnesota Timberwolves team in the first half to 40 points, 34%, 30% from 3. They did everything you could ask from this team. The problem is the game is 48 minutes long, not 40 minutes long. The Wolves went on a 25-15 run in that last 8 minutes. Anthony Edwards by himself had 10 points in that stretch. The Warriors just ran out of gas. Jimmy Butler was missing close shots. The execution was not there as Minnesota was able to tighten their defense. They just don't have enough players and firepower to sustain this for 48 minutes.
Yeah, for me, it's pretty simple. I agree with what Double D says. Without Steph being out there and without him being able to generate everything that he generates for them, I don't think they have enough. I mean, if Minnesota comes out and plays defense the way they do, all they need is they got a great game. That was probably Anthony Edwards' best game, but I don't even think he was on fire. He didn't play good in the first half. He came through in the second half and definitely in the fourth quarter. But they don't. If they don't have Steph Curry out there, you saw Jimmy Butler was playoff Jimmy yesterday, and you got 30 out of Kuminga. You had solid games from Buddy. I mean, they could have had more from Pajinski, but I mean, outside of that, I don't see the Warriors having enough to do anything with this team. If they come to play and they play defense and they get good compliments, I mean, Julius Randle with the triple-double and Ant-Man with that second half, to me, they're too powerful to beat them with no Steph Curry.
You see that, America? Two brothers agreeing on Mother's Day the same way that your mom wants you to agree with your brothers. Thank you, guys. Game 4 is on Wednesday on ESPN, 10 Eastern. What a series it has been. So now we bring in basketball analyst Monica McNutt, who was at MSG calling yesterday's game for radio. Monica, it was a Boston 3 party the first 2 games, and the cups were served cold, but things changed for Game 3. What was it for Boston?
First of all, you don't have to throw your Boston accent on your 3-party statement, Scooby. But anyway, listen, it is the 3-point line. It is the great equalizer or even separator in this particular series. Those guys came out with a tremendous level of focus, and you knew that they would. They were down 0-2, and the urgency was there. They shot 50% from 3 as a team, and in particular, Peyton Pritchard was huge in terms of continuing to knock down big shots and keep the foot on the gas as far as taking care of business versus these Knicks. And I will add, Scooby, though, the contrast to me of Boston shooting 50%, which is better than they've shot on average during this course of the season, and certainly better than the first 2 games, and the Knicks shooting just 22% from 3, and they're a team that averages about 38% from 3 on the year. The pendulum could not have made a bigger swing in either direction. And so that contrast for both teams yields the result that we saw last afternoon.
All right, well, the Knicks fans, this is our opportunity here to tell them don't panic yet. You're still up 2-1 in the series with Game 4 in New York. Monica, what can the Knicks take from Game 3 going on into Game 4?
Well, I listened to the Knicks players post-game, and they all admitted that there probably was an element of human nature that slipped in, understanding that they had a lead and they just could not play with the same level of urgency that the Celtics were able to play with. And you have to respect the Celtics as a defending champs. When I look at it, the Knicks simply cannot shoot 22% from the 3-point line, and they've got to get more involved in the rebounding battle in my mind. They've got to find ways to get some easier baskets in transition. In Game 2, they had 18 transition points. Yesterday, they had just 8 transition points. I think in the first 2 games, while they were tremendous wins, you have to remember that the Boston Celtics are a team that was top 5 in both defensive and offensive rating over the course of this season. And so the Knicks have to figure out how to move their offense, knock down available shots, and they have to compete on the glass.
Yeah, the Knicks blew a 2-0 lead in this round last year and are still seeking their first conference finals appearance since 2000. Game 4 is Monday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN.
The Thunder went 68-14 in the regular season. However, they're looking to avoid a 3-1 deficit against the Nuggets today on ABC. Game 1 saw Denver come back from a 9-point deficit in the final 3 minutes, capped off by Aaron Gordon's game-winning 3 in the final seconds. Game 2, a runaway for the Thunder. SGA scored 34 as OKC set a playoff record with 87 points in the first half on their way to a 43-point win. Game 3, the Nuggets once again came through in the clutch. Aaron Gordon tied the game late in the 4th, and then Denver outscored OKC 11-2 in overtime to take the 2-1 series lead. Basketball analyst Monica McNutt and NBA reporter Tim MacMahon joins us right now. And Tim, I'll start with you. You're covering this series. What are folks saying about the drastic difference between a young OKC team and a Denver squad that's proven and won a championship with that core?
Howdy, ladies. David Adelman, the Nuggets interim coach for now, soon to be their permanent head coach, does believe that experience has been a significant factor in this series. You know, he says it's something that these Denver players can draw on, and it's something that provides them a sense of calm, a sense of cool in these clutch situations. Now, he said the scary part is the more experience that Oklahoma City gains as the series goes, the better they'll get in these situations. Now, Alex Caruso is the one player on the Thunder roster who has won a championship ring in the NBA. He had an interesting perspective on this. He said he wanted to see Denver. He wanted to see a team this smart, this experienced, because he said he just knew this Nuggets team was going to bring the greatness out of Oklahoma City. This is the challenge that the Thunder need to achieve the level of greatness required to win a championship. That's the way Caruso's looking at it.
I think that's a tremendous way to look at it, MacMahon. But I would also add in this, I had an opportunity to cover the Thunder a little bit earlier this season. And when you hear Coach Daigneault talk about the way that SGA in particular is accountable and the culture that they have built over the course of time, not just this year coming in as the #1 seed, but I think also the other part of it to me is the energy that Jokic is playing with right now is fantastic. I mean, I understand the turnovers are not something that he's proud of, but I wondered about the transition to Edelman from Malone and what that would look like as his team was continuing to pursue a championship. The way that they are communicating in huddles on the floor, Aaron Gordon's clutch time play, Jokic's clutch time play. I mean, this is a group that you really see relying on their experience, and they have just been able to use their force and their size in a way that I think the Thunder have to really be smart in terms of schematically defending.
Yeah, we even seen Jokic on the sideline drawing up some plays as well, just referencing that right there. And the Thunder, they've also struggled down the stretch in this series, going 3 of 18 from the field in clutch minutes. So, Tim, what are they saying about their late game execution?
Yeah, Monica, you just talked about accountability. It's from SGA. It's also from Mark Daigneault, the Thunder's head coach. And he blamed himself for the Game 1 struggles down the stretch. He said they were disorganized, and that's on him. Now, Game 3, again, they could not buy a bucket. They scored 2 points in overtime. They really couldn't score down the stretch of the fourth quarter. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he's really struggled in those situations in this series. 1 of 8 from the floor in the fourth quarter. And he admitted that, look, some of those shots were certainly questionable decisions. And he said, hey, you live by your decisions, you die by your decisions. They died by his in that game. And the way he put it was he's been patted on his back for making tough shots before, so he has to take it on the chest when those shots don't go down or he's making the poor decisions. But he's really looking forward to the opportunity to prove himself again in those moments in this game, in the next game, and as the series continues.
And I think that's the fun part, MacMahon, because I do think Oklahoma City, to how you started our conversation today, Caruso talking about you actually learn in these tough situations. We have seen Oklahoma City throughout this season respond, even in this series so far, respond. And so I'm excited about that. But I will say schematically, somebody else, Jalen Williams, has been terrific, but there's going to have to be a consistent somebody else to step up because the Nuggets have been able to put so much pressure on SGA with double teams, Christian Brown. Like, it's similar to what we saw in the in-season tournament in terms of Milwaukee making SGA's life very difficult and making everybody else make plays. But I do think that this group is going to respond just because that's the nature of their personality this season.
Yeah, an interesting series between these two teams. Thank you so much, guys, for the insight.